a second. Introducing Mario Herfy, insurance agent, financial advisor, supreme owner of a very large agency in Jacksonville, Florida. Mario, I don't want to take the floor. It's your turn. Tell us what we need to know.
Thank you for having me tonight, David, first and foremost. And I appreciate all the work you and your team have done in assisting us and our business grow in such a large scale in such a short period of time. That's number one. Discussing the lead generation fraud.
Let's cut to the chase. Topic of conversation: lead generation fraud, fraudulent recruiting, new
Correct.
agents, what they're going through.
Correct.
Tell us about it. This is your turn.
So, real simple. When I left the corporate world and the captive world, let me put it that way, which was the last captive contract I had as a broker was with Prudential Advisors here in Jacksonville, Florida, back in 2017. Okay. Once I separated my service with them, I started Herfy Financial Services, LLC. One of the first calls I received, and I recollect the date very well, was February 23rd of 2017, literally a month after I left Prudential, right? I get a phone call from a person from a company called Equis Financial, and they asked me to join their company. And I said, well, I don't just join companies on somebody's whim. I have to do my due diligence and figure out what they're about, so forth and so forth. With that being said, I did my due diligence, checked them out, called some other friends in the industry, and had them essentially help me vet them. Okay. And they all told me, like, hey, yeah, this a good group. You'll be okay. I said, all right, I'll give you guys a shot. I'll give you 6 months of my time. I think that's fair.
Equis Financial, I believe, is owned by Integrity Marketing Group now. Was it owned by
Correct.
them back then?
Honestly, I don't know. I have no knowledge of that. I'm not sure. So I can't speak to that validity.
Let's go forward.
Sure. So with that being said, after doing their training thing and onboarding and whatnot, what I noticed is they kept pushing, and not just myself, but everybody in their group to constantly purchase leads from them, right? Again, this isn't my first rodeo, so I says to one of the guys, I'm not buying any leads because I don't need to buy any leads. I have an existing book of business. I have clients that I work with. I'm good. Thank you. Appreciate it.
Mario, I believe when you worked at Prudential, they taught you specifically not to buy leads
Correct.
and to develop business
Natural
relationships.
market. Correct.
Natural markets is where you could sell these bigger type of policies.
Well, first of all, it's taking care of the client because you have fiduciary responsibility to the client. That's number one. And as far as working with clients that have more assets, obviously you're going to write bigger cases because they have more assets. And that makes perfect sense. So these guys kept pestering and pushing and pushing and pushing, right? So I said, you know what? I will try your program just to give it a shot. Because at the same time as I was working with them, I was growing and building my agency, right? And I had at the time a handful of agents working with me throughout the country. Not the size we are now, obviously, but again, we just started out. So I said, I'll tell you what, I will try this thing out. I'll buy like $100 worth of leads. I can be okay with, foregoing $100. It's not going to break the bank, right? And I want to test their platform and system and see if it's BS or if it's legit. So I did. I purchased $100 worth of leads, which if I remember, and I still have all this information, by the way, I have it curated and saved. It was something close to like 1,000 leads or something like that, 50 cents a lead or whatever it was. It was very inexpensive. And as I start looking at this spreadsheet that they sent me and the pictures or the photocopies or whatever, because they sent you photocopies with the spreadsheet, right? For these so-called leads, which were final expense leads. And we start calling these folks, right? Myself and my other 5 agents, we start calling these folks. Most of them don't exist. Their phone numbers are no good. I would say that was 80%. The 20% we were able to make contact with, I would say 10% of them were even interested or had an inclination as to filling this quote unquote paperwork out. Does that make sense?
What did they tell you about these leads?
Supposedly, they got them from a third party marketing organization where they go out there and do lead drives or something. I don't know. I don't remember all the details. But essentially, the deal was this: I called the guys up, 2 weeks later. I said, these leads are absolute dog shit. Excuse my French. And I want a refund.
It
So
was
guess what? Go ahead.
you assume there it's data, not leads, just random data.
It could have been whoever writing this slips of paper. Like, there's no way to verify or validate these so-called leads.
Okay, let's get what was the response? You asking for a refund?
They at first gave me the runaround and said, "Oh, you guys don't know what you're doing. You're not experienced. This is a very specific market. You have to have special training." And I looked at the guy and I said, "Are you kidding me? I've been in this business at the time 5 years plus." I said, "I've worked with three of the top insurance brokerages in the world: Northwestern Mutual, AXA, which is Equitable, and then Prudential Advisors." I'm like, "Are you kidding me? Their training programs are the best in the world. You're telling me I can't sell a 50 cent final expense lead? Like, are you kidding me?" So they gave me the runaround for about a week and a half, 2 weeks, until I was just sick. And it wasn't about the $100. It was about my people wasted their time. I wasted my time to supposedly try and generate business with this lead system. So I finally had enough. I got a hold of the CEO, I think. Well, I don't remember if it was a CEO or whatever his position was in the company up in the Carolinas. And I pretty much chewed him out. And I said, "Listen, man, if this is how you run your businesses, I want nothing to do with it. Cancel all of our active contracts. I want severed relationship 100%. Any business that we have written stays with Herfy Financial Services. Our clients stay with us. And if you do not comply, you'll be hearing from my attorneys." Well, within 2 days of that conversation, they send us a confirmation that, again, we're free to be non-captive agency and agents, and everybody went their merry way. Now, I never saw the $100 because I asked for a refund, which honestly, again, not worried about $100. It's the principle.
The leads that you bought, did they go into a CRM?
Yes. Yes,
How
they
did you, when you bought the leads, was it click to buy leads, or it
Yes.
was a
It was a click to buy leads. You had to pay with the credit card right there on the spot. It was in their back office systems. It wasn't a third party vendor. It was internal within their systems.
when you and the request to get a refund was from your upline, the
Correct.
managers at Equis. For all intents and purposes, they were the lead company.
Again, I have no way to confirm nor deny that, but my suspicions are correct. Yes, or your statement admits my suspicions. So yes,
The Greg Birch whistleblower interview, I believe you listened to that. Is that
yes,
right?
I've listened to it several times. Yes,
He did mention Equis Financial on there.
I'm yes, I remember that very well. Yes,
Apparently now they're owned by the same company as this company that's suing me in a defamation
right. That's kind of interesting, right?
issue. Right. And he said he specifically mentioned lead fraud, and lead fraud
Yeah.
was geared to Equis and that particular company. They're all one big happy family.
Right. 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 Yeah. But
I,
that's really what transpired, and obviously, being in the business as long as I have been, not just myself, but my core team as well. My board of directors are also licensed insurance professionals and advisors. Um, we've all had these conversations as far as how do we provide leads to our agents in order for them to build and grow their businesses? Because at the end of the day, Herfy Financial Services LLC is not an IMO or an FMO or anything like that. All of our agents are independent. They all own their books of business. We get our overrides like everybody else, but we are fair. We don't sell leads. We don't do any of that stuff.
Well, this
So
this whole this whole issue about getting new agents that have no idea what they're doing,
it's
then
sad.
and having them click and being told the way to make money in the business is the complete opposite of what the other insurance company told you 20 minutes before, Prudential, Access, etc.
Correct.
Completely opposite of what they were
Yeah.
telling you.
Yeah.
Equis was telling you completely different story.
Correct. And they're
And
fleecing people of their money. These poor people that are, I'm not saying poor, they don't have means, but some of them don't. They're career changers. They're coming into an industry that somebody recruited them into and said, hey, it's easy to get in here and make a lot of money. And the truth is, they're being lied to. They're being robbed essentially of their savings and everything they have. And unfortunately, they end up leaving the business within, most of them, less than a year. I would say less than 6 months. And then they have a bad taste in their mouth. They think the entire industry is evil, which we are not. Because trust me, there's a lot more of Marios and us's in the industry than there are of the quote unquote Equises, integrity marketing and whatnots.
well,
So
by the way,
go ahead.
Integrity Marketing is a huge company. They own
Hmm.
literally. They're buying everyone.
Yes,
So
correct.
they're into the, hate to say, the low level
Hmm.
people that, as well as the high level, the
Right,
health, Medicare. They're into everything.
correct. That is correct. That is correct.
But this particular technique of bringing a new agent, pie in the sky
Hmm.
expectations. When you initially spoke to Equis a couple of years ago, what did they tell you you should expect to make?
Well, with me personally and the way I've run my companies and my agencies, I told them straight up, I'm not here to buy your BS. Okay, I'm not drinking the Kool-Aid. Been in this business too long. Number one, so I flat out turned them down when all that stuff was concerned. They try to have you have these calls with them like 3 times a week. I said that's a waste of my time. I don't need your training calls. I know how to train my people, and so forth and so forth. So that really wasn't a battle with us, or at least with me and them. Okay.
What did they tell you you were going to, what you should
Oh,
expect to make in their system?
oh, I got you. I'm sorry. I misunderstood you. So their quote unquote value proposition, very simply put, was this: if you follow our steps, by X amount of leads per month, work your leads, you should be making 150 to $250,000 a year.
First year or second year?
Yes, first year. Which as soon as I heard that, I was like, bull crap.
Did
That, and
you?
that's when I decided to what? Spend $100 and test their lead system and lead
Because
sources.
because they were telling you with a straight face you
Oh
should be
yeah.
making 150,000 to 200.
Oh yeah, easy. First year. Yeah. And me being experienced, they're like, you should be making $500,000.
So to spend $100 to test the water seemed like
Hmm.
reasonable.
I thought so.
As I mentioned on one of my calls, I spoke to a gentleman named Robert Taylor from Minnesota. He
Hmm.
tested the water with $9,000. He made absolutely zero sales.
Ouch. That's painful.
That is painful. The
That's very painful.
gentleman just a few hours ago. His name is Guy.
Hmm.
Guy from Texas. He
Yeah,
tested the
I
water.
watched that interview this afternoon. Yes.
Guy from Texas tested the waters for a couple of $1,000. He met one person. He explained the
Right.
destitute homeless person who couldn't really afford bottled water. So
Correct.
that was he made no money. Did you get you did get releases
Oh,
from the
absolutely.
company?
Yeah, absolutely.
Unfortunately,
Well,
Guy had to spend $500 for that
let me
for his
also
attorney.
back up. Let me also back up and explain as to why we got the releases so quickly and expeditiously. My business relationships, regardless of what entity or company I work with as a partnership, We have dual-sided NDAs that both companies have to sign, and part of those NDAs and agreements are the release of immediate any hold.
So you had them sign that before you started.
Correct.
Oh, so you're at a different level than 98.99% of the people who come into this business, into those type of
And,
systems.
and it's our job to help educate our fellow brethren in this industry that, listen, you have great people to work with in this industry, in this business. And it's a wonderful business to be in.
They wanted you to sell final expense. You mentioned.
Correct.
Did it? And based on your experience, the companies you were working with sold nothing below $50,000, which was
That is
Prudential,
correct.
Access. Were you wondering
AXA, which is equitable. Yeah.
Aqua? Were you wondering maybe at the beginning that maybe Prudential and AXA were missing the boat on this lucrative market based on
No,
the?
not at all. No. Because listen, at the end of the day, we have access to those types of products for less wealthy clients or less stable clients, but they're not the type of products and services or companies or carriers these guys kept pushing. Because I would ask them, I said, why do you keep pushing this particular carrier? They're not A-rated.
What company were they pushing?
Oh, God, back then, I got to think. Honestly, I don't recall off the top of my head. I do not remember. But it wasn't an A-rated carrier. I'll put it that way.
They're pushing for the most part companies you may never have heard of.
Because they're not A-rated.
They're not well-known companies besides that particular market.
Correct. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Have you seen any of Equis Financials or these on LinkedIn, Facebook, or any of the companies that work with that are partnered with the parent company Integrity Marketing on Facebook, LinkedIn?
Oh, I see them all over the place, and I call them out. They don't like me.
You saw one of them got a cease and desist from the Federal Trade Commission, one of the sister companies to Equis.
Absolutely.
And it happened. Just to let you, I'm on LinkedIn as well. I saw Equis Financial specifically using a similar wording that their sister company supposedly was supposed to get a $72,000 fine if they did something that. Right. And I was kind enough to send that to the FTC in an email.
Nice. Yeah.
So if anyone's on LinkedIn and you see this stuff, send it to the FTC. If you Google the word FTC, FFL, cease and desist, you could see that ruling.
I will also share this with our fellow, and again, you don't have to even be an insurance professional or an investment advisor or a financial professional in the industry. If you're a customer that has faced this type of selling process, right? Or you've spoken with an agent that sold you something that just didn't seem right. You can also file with your local state, Department of Financial Services or insurance. You have to figure out what state you're in and what department you need to reach out to. And they don't take these, they take these issues very seriously because it's fraud against the public as well, not just us as professionals.
I've filled out quite a few of these complaint forms, and I can tell you what they will prosecute, what they're excited about is churning. If you listen to the Greg Birch whistleblower interview, he specifically says the multi-level marketing company that he was a senior vice president, churning.
Yes.
You listen to the interview when I mention the word churning inevitably leads to elder abuse.
Absolutely.
If you churn it, if you replace enough policies, one of those people is going to be 65 or older. And according my Googling the state of California, that's 4 years in jail. I'm pretty sure in the state of Florida, it's more than 4 years. Is that correct, Mario?
I don't know the exact numbers off the top of my head, but it's definitely not a slap on the wrist. Let's put it that way.
Florida wants to protect its elderly people.
It's more than a day. It's more than a day and less than 20. Let's put it that way. Or less than 20 years. So more than a day, less than 20 years.
Somewhere in the middle.
Somewhere in there, yeah.
What the state told me specifically, at least two of the states, they have to specifically get specific instances where someone bought something expensive, they got switched to something a much better deal. During that interim period, they would have lost the cash value that was supposed to build up, and they have to go through another incontestability period.
Correct.
If anyone works for this or knows of this type of situation, get the name, get the information, send it to me. I will be more than happy to send it over to the proper authorities, because it literally, there are laws on the books to put people who do this in jail, whether it be
absolutely. Absolutely, David. 100%. And you and I have talked in the last few weeks or month regarding some of these issues. And I've shared with you that I've spoken to some of the folks that I know in Tallahassee, and they're definitely very happy to be in. I
may have a problem to let you know. The two states that I spoke with really did not have an inkling to do this easy investigation based on the Greg Birch whistleblower interview. But there's 50 states. I have a feeling, some of the 50 states are going to say, hey, we want to protect our citizens.
I agree.
But if anyone has a specific case, and they're not hard to find.
They're not. They're really not. I mean, again, I can dig up all the information because I save everything from back in the day with Equis. I can submit it. Again, I think in Florida, the statute of limitations is 5 years.
Well, there's no statute. It's probably 7 years or so. It's a long time.
I'd have to look at it because it's essentially I don't know. I'd have to talk to my attorneys about it. But
how many sales did you guys make? How many sales did you guys make at zero?
Zero.
Oh, so you have nothing to compare. But if you run into the course of business, anyone who bought a super expensive policy in a year later or 6 months later, a better deal. And
now I'll tell you this: I have had clients in the last 5 years now that did do business with somebody that was involved with an Equis or something similar to that level. And once we did a policy review with the client and said, well, listen, even if we wanted to get you a better product, we can't because it's churning and it's unlawful for us to do that. Unfortunately, you're stuck with that product, at least for a little while longer, till that contestability period goes away.
If you say so, but if it's they have to be cognizant that they're losing out on a contestability period.
That is correct. And that's part of how we explain to our clients, listen, we're not here to hurt you. If you have a bad product, we're going to tell you it's a bad product or service. But also, if you have a good product and service, we're also going to share that with you as well. Because, again, we are a buyer's agent, not a seller's agent. Think of a real estate transaction. You have a seller's agent and a buyer's agent.
Okay, Mario, Mario, you seem to be very concerned about the well-being of your fellow citizens.
Yes.
I personally got sued for defamation by the largest marketing company in the history of the U.S. insurance industry. It's a conglomeration of half the industry.
Wow.
The specific company in that conglomeration has to be the most successful recruiter of new agents that's ever existed, and I'm sure is changing because they got an FTC cease and desist. That sort of like bums out the whole recruiting platform when the FTC says you can't lie anymore.
Yeah. But that's only a slap on the wrist.
Well, it's a prevention from them physically using that technique that got them so big.
Yeah, but they don't care because they're already big.
No, they do get on the online advertisements. They're not doing it. If I see it, I send it to the FTC.
No, and I agree with you. I would do the same thing. Absolutely. Yeah. But not to be rude, David, I have a 7:15 that I have to get ready for.
Excellent. Okay, Mario, I'm looking forward to seeing you in West Palm Beach, Florida, at the federal defamation trial. The latest meeting we had was there was a debate. Will the trial take 3 days? And I said no. This is going to be if the gentleman from the Hollywood actors got 3 weeks, I could get 3 weeks as well.
Exactly.
This
Yeah.
has national implications for tens of thousands, if not hundreds of thousands of
Millions.
people,
Millions of people.
millions of people. And I'm looking forward for you to be there. And hope, and you
Thank
won't be
you.
alone. We're going to get a lot of other people. And Mario, have a terrific rest of the day.
David, again, thank you so much for all the work that you and your team do, and the wonderful websites that you guys provide some templates for, which are brilliant. And
Right now,
again, thank you so much.
There's six. We're going to go to 16. We're going to stop at 16 because it's too much. Too
I
TMI.
think
Too much
that's plenty.
information.
Yeah, that's
It's,
plenty.
but six is good. Okay,
Again,
Mario.
thank you so much. Thank you so much.
I'll see you in West Palm Beach, Florida, at the federal trial.
I'll be there with bells on.
I'll see you then. Bye bye.
Thank you.